All right. So as we're recording now, one, we talked about genes. We talked about genes being, DNA, made up of DNA. We talked about genes being part of your chromosomes, right? And they're a stretch of DNA that codes for a particular set of proteins, which may give structure and or function to your body, right? We also talked about this Bronfenbrenner's model, bioecological model with these multiple levels, the macro, exo, meso, microsystems surrounding and influencing the individual. All right. Just take a moment to look at this again and see. I want you to think of some things that you think might influence your development, and then think about where they are on this diagram. All right. So if I said your teacher, your third grade teacher, where would your third grade teacher be on this diagram? Third grade teacher is definitely microsystem. Okay. What about the news? Do you think the news and what you watch on TV might have an effect on your development? Where would that be in this diagram? Okay. Yep. That's an exosystem. So y'all get it. Y'all understand this concept. All right. In this particular example, the chickens, right? So the genotype is the actual chromosomes and their designation, whether it's a CB or a CW, right? The phenotype is what comes out from that combination of genes. So if it's CB-CW, it'll be speckled. If it's CB-CB, it'll be black. If it's CW, what we call homozygous CW, it'll be white. All right. So then remember, though, as we just saw in the last diagram, how you behave is a lot more complex than how you look. And even that's not that simple. All right. All right. So a lot of you will hear about in psychology, this is really important for psych majors. When we see twin studies, right? The assumption there is that monozygotic twins, those twins that derive from one egg, right, that gets fertilized, right? So the egg is fertilized as one egg and then it splits, versus dizygotic twins, or what we call fraternal twins, which are an egg that's split beforehand, and now these two eggs are fertilized in the womb together. So they develop together, they grow up together, they're born at the same time, but they're not quote unquote identical twins. All right. So are identical twins identical? Actually, they certainly have an identical genetic code, but is your genetic code your genetics even? Well, I'm going to show you this short video, and you're going to tell me what you think after. That is something that's really, really gained more and more acceptance over the last, I would say, 30 years or so. And a lot of times once the general public hears about something, it's like 20, 30 years old a lot of the time. So yeah, that's surprising to a lot of people. And what does that mean, right? What does that mean? What are the implications here for our own existence? Tell me what the implications are. Okay, now I can see. Alexia, tell me what the implications are here for finding this out.
Did you say Alexis or Alexia?
Alexia. Okay. Not hearing from her. All right, let's go with, I'm going to call on Eva. What kind of implications might that have for the way we look at development of people's characteristics, Eva?
You were specifically referring to the, could you say what you said before? Because I didn't answer just because I wasn't understanding the question. Could you repeat
Okay.
what you said before?
So this idea of epigenetics, that outside things can actually influence the genes themselves, right? That's not really how we're used to hearing about genes, right? So we used to hearing their genetic influences and their environmental influences, and one stronger than the other. But what we're hearing here is that there are environmental influences on the genes themselves. So what kind of implications might that have for psychology?
I would say that, because, well, I know for one thing, kind of like different factors can affect the way you think. And of course, like your brain affects your body. So like when you're talking about how, and how that would affect your psychology, I could understand why like it like makes sense. I'm not sure if that was kind of like the answer you were looking for, but
Cool. How many of you had trouble hearing the video? And tell me what the problem was. Just put it in the chat if you had trouble hearing the video. And just tell me exactly what the problem was. Was it choppy? Was it low volume? Okay. Went in and out. All right, that's good to know. All right. So let me ask you all something. If I wanted to talk about a video in class and I asked you all to watch it the night before, can I count on you to do it? Okay, because I literally need to be able to count on you to do it in order to use it in class. All right. Because if I can't, then we got a problem discussing it. All right. So what I'll do is in the future I'll put up videos. It's easier to do this if we're live, in person. So I'll put up videos on Top Hat the day before, by the morning before class, and those will be the purpose for those will be to use them to talk about them in the class the next day. Okay. I'm seeing this is getting real choppy. And what I want you all to do when you watch these videos is to write some notes down about what you noticed in the video. And we'll try to, you'd rather watch it in class, but if it's choppy, Aaliyah, and it's not really working for people, it's kind of impossible to do that. Do you see what I'm saying? Right? Like that might be our preference, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. All right. So now if I can boost the signal a little bit, we'll do another test run on Wednesday with another video. And if I can find another way to show it to you, I may download it on my hard drive and see if it works better that way. And now if that works on Wednesday, we'll just keep doing it in class. All right. And I'll ask you questions on Top Hat. We'll just go back and forth. Okay, deal? All right. We want to be flexible during this time. Really, we want to be flexible always. All right, so this is why we know genetics isn't as simple as people say it. So in fact, the argument you all are used to hearing about nature versus nurture is dead. It's now a stupid argument because there's no nature versus nurture. It's nature and nurture and how they intertwine and how they affect one another, right? There's a bi-directional relationship between your genes and your environment. And there is no way to tell really how much it is because we see already, don't you already now see the flaw in twin studies as proof that something's genetic? If we know that genetics itself isn't that cut and dry, you can't now use twin studies as some concrete proof that a particular trait or behavior is genetic. All right, so that's the take-home message here. That no longer can you say that an identical twin versus, if it's more prevalent in identical twin, you can say it may have a greater genetic influence, but you can't say that it's genetic. All right.